She stood there frozen, staring at the man who had just taken her seat. First class, 2A. Her name was on the ticket, but the man in her seat just looked her up and down and said, "Are you sure you're in the right section, sweetheart?" The entire cabin went silent. The flight attendant hesitated. And what happened next? No one on that plane would ever forget it. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our stories go. And if you believe in standing up for what's right, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and let's dive into this real story together. The moment Zara stepped into the first-class cabin, she felt it, the weight of eyes. She was used to it by now. At just 29, Zara Hill had built a multi-million-dollar wellness brand from scratch, was on the cover of Forbes UK, and had just wrapped a keynote in Toronto. Still, being young, black, and successful didn't insulate her from the silent scans that questioned if she belonged. She clutched her Hermes tote tighter and glanced at her boarding pass. 2A. Except 2A was already taken. A tall white man in a sharp gray blazer lounged comfortably in her seat, legs crossed, AirPods in, and a smug smirk tugging at his lips like he knew exactly what he was doing. Zara cleared her throat softly. "Excuse me, I believe that's my seat." The man removed one earbud and looked up at her with mock confusion. "You sure you're not in economy? They're just a few rows back." Zara blinked, not because she was confused, but because she was so used to this moment. She had trained herself not to explode. But something about today. Her throat tightened. She held up her ticket. 2A. Zara Hill. The man chuckled under his breath. "Weird. Must be some glitch." The flight attendant approached, clearly sensing the tension. Her eyes darted between Zara and the man. "Is there a problem?" "Yes," Zara said, forcing calm into her voice. "This gentleman is in my seat." The flight attendant hesitated. That hesitation? That was the dagger. Because in that half-second pause, Zara knew the woman wasn't just verifying a ticket. She was weighing something else. Who's more believable? Who fits this seat better? Before the attendant could speak, the man said, "Look, she's probably confused. Happens all the time." Zara didn't move. "I'm not confused." Her voice was cool, clear, unapologetic. A few passengers nearby were now watching, some whispering, some pretending not to look at all. The attendant looked flustered. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass?" He fished it out slowly. 2B. Boom. The silence that followed cracked the air. The attendant turned red. "Sir, I'll have to ask you to move." But the man leaned back into the seat, arms crossed. "I'm settled already. Can't she just sit somewhere else? Is this really that deep?" Zara stared at him, and then she sat her bag down, reached into her tote, and pulled out her phone. She pressed one contact. "Uncle D." "Zara," came the deep, gravelly voice. "How was the keynote?" "I'm fine," she replied, steady but tight. "But your airline just gave my seat to a man who refuses to move, and the crew is hesitating to do anything about it." There was silence on the line. Then, "Which flight number?" "BA 762. I'll call you back in 60 seconds. Zara ended the call. Then she smiled softly at the attendant. "You might want to inform your captain that Mr. Dean Hill, CEO of your parent company, will be calling shortly." The attendant blinked. Passengers shifted. Even the man in the seat sat upright now. Exactly 57 seconds later, a crew member stepped briskly into the cabin, whispered something into the lead attendant's ear, and chaos followed. The captain was requested. The man was escorted off. The flight was delayed. And for the first time in her life, Zara watched an entire system unravel, because this time she didn't shrink herself to fit it. She took her seat in 2A, head high, no smugness, just grace. But what happened next, what the airline tried to do to cover their tracks, that's what nearly cost Zara everything. Zara sat quietly in seat 2A, her face calm, but her pulse drummed beneath her skin. The seat felt cold now, not because of the air conditioning, but because it had taken a battle to sit in something she had already paid for. She wasn't angry anymore. She wasn't even shocked. She was tired, tired of the looks, tired of the doubt, tired of how dignity felt like a game she had to keep winning. The cabin door closed. The captain's voice came through the speakers, smoother than silk. "Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the slight delay. We had to resolve an internal seating issue. Thank you for your patience. We'll be taking off shortly." Zara tilted her head slightly and looked out the window. A seating issue. What a polite way to say. A black woman had to remind them she mattered. But the real storm hadn't even started. 15 minutes into the flight, Her phone buzzed. She turned off airplane mode for just a second, just long enough for the Wi-Fi to catch. It was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Zara Hill. First-class incident. Fly fair. Someone had recorded the entire altercation. Not her. Not her team. A teenage girl across the aisle. She had uploaded the 48-second clip with the caption, "This black woman handled racist entitlement like a boss. Wait for the twist." Within minutes, the video had gone viral. Over 2 million views and counting. Zara's face was now trending in every corner of the internet. But with virality comes backlash. Some praised her, others mocked her. She overreacted. It's just a seat. She played the race card. Imagine pulling rank like that, entitled much. By the time she landed at Heathrow, her team was already calling, "Zara, we have over 300 media requests. Everyone wants a statement." "Tell them no," she said. But, not yet, not yet. The next morning, she woke to an email with the British Airways logo stamped at the top. Subject, "Our sincere apology." From Executive Office. Zara opened it. "Dear Miss Hill, we regret the unfortunate incident aboard Flight BA762. We are launching an internal review and offer you complimentary first-class flights for the year. We hope to move forward in partnership and understanding." She stopped reading. They were hoping to move forward with miles and silence. Zara looked down at her cup of green tea, the steam curling like smoke. This wasn't about freebies. This was about every little girl who would walk into a room one day and be made to feel she doesn't belong, not because she lacks the right, but because someone else couldn't see her as enough. She pulled out her journal and wrote one line, "If the seat has your name on it, take it. Don't let them shame you into standing." That night, she posted a 2-minute video on her Instagram. Her voice was calm. No makeup, no glam team, just truth. "I wasn't going to speak, but I realize now, silence protects comfort, not justice. A man stole my seat, yes, but the real theft was in the way everyone paused, waiting to see if I'd walk away. They say I pulled rank. I didn't. I pulled truth. I didn't get special treatment. I got what I paid for, after reminding them who I was. But here's the thing. No woman should have to be famous to be respected. So if you've ever been dismissed, ignored, or made small for taking up space, this is for you. You don't need a title to matter. You don't need permission to exist boldly. They thought I was in the wrong section, but I was exactly where I belonged. And so are you." They hadn't realized who Zara was, or that her uncle, Dean Hill, was about to review every bias training module across their global operations. Zara's story wasn't just a moment anymore. It had become a movement. The CEO of British Airways issued a public statement. The flight crew underwent immediate retraining. The man who took her seat, banned from flying with the airline for 3 years. But still, something inside Zara remained unsettled, because no punishment fixed the years she had spent proving her worth in rooms she had already earned. So she decided to do something different. She launched a new initiative called SEAT, Speak, Empower, Act, Transform, a nonprofit that supported young women of color in professional spaces, taught them how to advocate for themselves, and partnered with corporations to create safer, more inclusive environments. And at the launch event, standing in front of 400 young women in blazers and braids and headscarves, Zara smiled. "This isn't about revenge," she said. "This is about making sure the next time someone tries to steal your seat, the world knows better than to doubt you. Sometimes, it's not about the seat, it's about what the seat represents: respect, equality, presence." Zara didn't fight for attention. She fought for truth, and the legacy she left behind? It wasn't in the headlines. It was in every woman who stood taller after watching her rise. What would you have done in Zara's shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. If this story moved you, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you don't need permission to take your seat. Let's build a world where everyone is seen, heard, and never made to doubt their place.